Have you ever told yourself that you're just not a natural speaker? I want you to consider that that story started somewhere and it wasn't yesterday. And honestly, that's a story that I used to tell myself years ago. And maybe that story that started it all is telling you that you're not a natural speaker. It could have been from the classroom, way back in elementary school or even high school. Maybe it was a meeting that you were in and somebody laughed or made a comment. Either way, wherever your story came from, you told yourself that story in that moment. And here's what's so freaking crazy about that. Your nervous system feels like the story happened just yesterday. And here you are, years later, sometimes decades later, and you walk into a boardroom, you walk into a meeting, you walk into a sales presentation, and that old story shows up again. Today, we're going to be talking about why that happens, what's actually going on, and exactly what you can do about it. Hey, I'm Laurie-Ann, and this is Be in Demand. This is the podcast where you learn how to leverage public speaking skills so that you get seen, heard, and become the obvious choice for that next big opportunity. Most people think their fear of public speaking is about a skill. Like if they just practiced more, prepared more, got better at it, the fear would go away. But that's not actually true, nor is that what's happening inside of your body. Because for a lot of people, and maybe this is you, it's not about skill at all. It's about a moment from the past, one specific moment where speaking suddenly felt dangerous. You didn't feel safe. And that moment, it might have been when you were a kid, reading out loud in class. Anybody remember that? Giving a book report, somebody laughs like students are giggling, maybe because you mispronounced a word. Maybe it was because you had an accent, because English is your second language. And some of the other kids are giggling because you sound different than all their other friends. I have a lot of clients who have accents and they're very self-conscious of their accents. And that's for another episode. Maybe you were called on and you didn't know the answer to something and the whole room was looking at you and you just wanted to disappear. Or maybe it's happened while you're in your corporate job, a presentation that went sideways, a senior leader who cut out mid-sentence, like what you were saying didn't matter. And you interpret him leaving as, oh my God, I'm doing a bad job. When the truth of the matter is, he might have left because of a text message that could have been about an emergency and it had nothing to do with you. But whatever the moment is, your brain registers it and it says, speaking is risky. Speaking is dangerous. It's not safe to be seen like that. It's not safe to be heard. And then it just files it away in your filing cabinet of memories. And then it always pulls that out right when you're about to speak up again. And here's the thing that your nervous system doesn't really know that was then, that was in the past. Our brains are designed to keep us safe. And it doesn't know the difference that that was a long time ago and that one doesn't even matter anymore. All it thinks about is like, how can I keep you safe? So it brings out that memory, which then keeps you small, keeps you quiet, keeps you sounding like everybody else. I just want to say, this is exactly the work that I do with my clients, helping them so that those old memories, those bad experiences from the past, stop running the show so that you can start speaking with confidence and people will notice you. People will be listening to you. People start seeing you differently. And if this is something that you want to work on, I want to invite you to book an executive presence call with me. It's a conversation and it might be just the thing that changes everything for you. The link is down in the show notes. So here's an analogy that keeps coming up. And it's about scar tissue. Like these bad memories, they're like speed bumps or scar tissue. Have you ever sprained your ankle, like really bad, sprained your ankle, and as your body's healing, if you don't do your range of motion, like if you don't listen to your physical therapist and he says you need to like be making the alphabet a couple of times a day with your foot, the reason why they want you to do that is because they don't want the scar tissue to form. Because if the scar tissue forms, it decreases your range of motion. Now, have a degree in exercise physiology, and during college, I did some research on balance, left foot versus right foot, depending on was the participant right-handed or left-handed. And I started to notice a trend that my hypothesis was that if you're right-handed, for example, balancing on your right foot was going to be better than balancing on your left foot. And I didn't actually see that. So then I started asking people, have you ever sprained your ankle? Yes. A lot of people told me. Which ankle, how many times, and how severe was that? Because scar tissue had accumulated and it shows up in ways that you don't always connect back to the original injury. Making sense now? Speaking works the exact same way. That bad memory didn't just pass. That bad memory is the scar tissue. And now, every time that you're in a high stakes speaking moment, a big presentation, a sales call, that unexpected question from the executive team, a room full of people who are looking at you, your body doesn't just recall the skill, it recalls the wound, the scar tissue. And this is why more practice isn't going to fix your problem. This is why you can't get technically better and still freeze when it counts, because that scar tissue is still there. So here's what I've been telling a few of my clients this past week, because several of my clients have shared with me, oh my God, like I froze. I had to give a presentation. It felt like it went sideways. I don't know if I can do this again. This past week, I heard it several times. And I want to say this to you as well. You have to remind yourself you're safe. I want you to think of either a record or a CD. And I might be dating myself, but these are really good analogies, because the reason why records and CDs play music so well is because there's no scar tissue, there's no scratches in it. But as soon as there's a scratch, and sometimes it can be a very small but deep scratch, it's just going to mess the whole thing up. Same thing. That deep scratch is your scar tissue. So with a record and a CD, like there's no way that you can actually fix it. You'll have to like throw it away and get a new one. But what you can do with yourself, with your bad memory, is to remind yourself that you are okay, that you are safe. I want you to go back to that moment. And if you can't remember an actual moment where it's like, this is where it all began, this was that moment, I just want you to think of a high stakes moment where maybe you did freeze. Maybe you stumbled over your own words. So I want you to relive that memory, that scar, and then put your hand on your heart and just tell yourself, I'm safe. It is safe for me to speak up. That happened in the past. It does not mean it's going to happen again. But scar tissue doesn't have to mean that you're immobile forever. I mean, thank goodness. Think about how many times maybe you've sprained a wrist, sprained an ankle, pulled a muscle even. Think about it from a physical therapist point of view. They give you stretches. They give you strengthening exercises so that we can get you back to where you were. When you think about the stretches, they hurt. and they push you outside of your comfort zone. Exact same thing that we're doing here. And you start to regain that range of motion again. You rebuild trust with the very thing that hurt you. And as a matter of fact, not only did all of this come up with my clients, but I actually saw my physical therapist a few days ago because I'm actually having some ankle issue. But my ankle issue didn't come from a sprain, although my physical therapist said it is quite possible that I had a tiny injury years ago that is just showing itself now. And now it's like my calf is really tight. So I have 5 different stretches and strengthening exercises that I have to do so that this does not become a bigger problem. So remind yourself, I'm safe. What happened before does not mean it will happen again. So I got some homework for you. Here's your assignment for the week. I want you to go listen to episode 384, and it's about PSP, the Performance State Protocol. And it will change how you walk into those big moments again. So I want you to go deep on this. And here's what I want you to do this week specifically. I want you to go back to that memory, listen to 384, do the PSP, go back there in your mind, hear the sound of that room, see the moment, feel what was happening in your body. And then I want you to say to yourself out loud, if you can, I'm safe. I can do this. That was then, and this is today. I am rewriting a new memory. You're not erasing the memory from the past, but you are updating what it means. You are telling your nervous system, you are telling your brain, you survived that, and you're still here. And we aren't going back to that because we're going to learn a new skill. I'm going to have a new memory that I walk into rooms with each time. So I want you to do this once a day this week, every day. And if you have a meeting that's coming up, if you have a sales call, if you have a presentation that you're giving, if there's a conversation with somebody that's high stakes, I want you to do it just before you walk into that room, just before you get on that Zoom call. Just that reminder, I'm safe. I am safe to show up. Okay, 2 things before I let you go, and you're gonna love these, so don't skip to the end. If you recognize yourself somewhere in what I was describing today, I want you to book an executive presence call with me. This is the work that I do, helping people like you who are talented and driven and ready to stop letting old stories keep you from being seen the way that you deserve to be seen. The link is down below in the show notes. And second, if you're not on my email list yet, get on my email list because every week I share stories and strategies that you can actually use right away. The kind of stuff that doesn't always make it into the episodes. And that link to join the newsletter is also down below in the show notes. So please remember, you are not broken. You just have some scar tissue. And we absolutely can work through that. And until next week, I want you to be in demand.